YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is The Darkest Dungeon, Strategy and Tactics. So, The Darkest Dungeon, well, what is it? It is an RPG strategy roguelike, with some elements from, believe it or not, sports games and Pokemon thrown in. It is not thematically, by the way. This is not a cutesy game by any measure. I am having a blast with it. But one of the things it has become notorious for is that it is really difficult. And to a good extent, that is true. But it's not impossible. Yes, there's a lot of random number generator interaction here, but the game is not won or lost on the roll of the dice. There are ways to tilt the odds in your favor. There are ways to manage your risks. So the purpose of this series is to help show you some tips and tricks as we play through the first few weeks of a dungeon here, to help you help out your early and mid game. Get you your footing on and established a little bit more reliably, so you're not so frustrated with the game here. So let's get started. I already created a new slot here, the Mask Manor. We're going to skip through most of the cutscenes and the intros and whatnot, but and the tutorial messages. I'm going to assume you've played the tutorial and you know just basic button presses and what have you. So my guiding is going to focus more on the strategy elements of it rather than how to actually physically do things. Okay, so we've got ourselves here in our tutorial, and even if you've played the tutorial before, you're going to play it every time you start a new game, which is fine. It helps get you established. Now, at this point, the RNG is rather curtailed. You always start with these two individuals, Dismas and Reynauld, and they always have the exact same build. They always have the same skills. They always have the same quirks. So at this point, your run is seated. It is the same every time. I'll point out when things start to deviate from playthrough to playthrough. In fact, this whole mission is seeded. This encounter is always going to happen here. Now, tactics speaking, we got one guy here. There's only one real move for us. We only have generally speaking, a area of effect one, like Grape Shot Blast here, which hits up to 3 people, will do less damage than a single target. If you look at that damage modifier, it's minus 50%. So whatever his base damage is, it's going to be half of that. Compare that to Open Vein, which still does have a negative damage modifier of minus 15, but it's a lot lower, and it gives us a bleed effect. So this is the superior attack to use in this situation. And we get the bleed. Wonderful. Alright, he gets a tick of the bleed there. And not too bad for a thing. That's a knockback move, but since he's in the back anyway, it doesn't matter. Alright, now, the question becomes, what do we use here with Reynauld? Now, there's a couple options here. Obviously, again, we're not going to want to go with Zealous Accusation because of the damage modifier, but we do have a good, strong single target attack. We don't get the bonus damage because he's not unholy, but there's another option available to us, Stunning Blow, which is basically a stun. Now, let's take a look here. So he's got 8 hit points, and if we attack him with our Smite, we have actually a decent chance of killing him. On the other hand, if we go for the Stunning Blow, actually, we have an effective chance of killing him. We're guaranteed to kill him. Now, why are we guaranteed to kill him, even though our low end of the damage is 6? Well, let's say we attack him, and we only do 6 damage. That will leave him at 2 hit points. When it comes next to his turn, he's going to take another 2 points of damage from the bleed. So his effective hit points are only at 6, not 8, despite what it says here. So, in this case, we have a 100% chance of killing him with our Smite, even if we don't get the killing blow right away. Well, unless we miss. Never say 100% chance to this game, it can hear you. Alright, well, again, we're going to go for another Open Vein. you can stack bleed. So even if this doesn't kill him, getting another bleed on him will lower his effective hit points each time he takes a turn. So see, he survived that, but guess what? His turn, 4 damage, auto dead before he can attack us. So damage over times, the best way to think of them is lowering the effective hit points, because that damage happens before the monster gets to attack you. As far as this tent goes, always investigate it, always has good stuff in it. That being said, how much you get from it is random. I've gotten thousands of gold from this, but here we only get 350. Not ideal, but we'll take what we can get. Alright, on we go. Ah, good. We got the surprise. Very, very handy. Don't depend on it, but still very handy. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of trying to burn down the Fusilier first because of the blanket fire. The Fusilier is actually not that dangerous. This guy's more of our threat, and he's also easier to get access to. So we want to actually focus fire our attacks on him. Now, bleeds and other damage over time attacks are especially good against these guys with lots of hit points. Because they're going to live for a couple of rounds, so they're more likely to absorb more of the damage. So you're going to get more value out of your attack, unless he, of course, resists. Now, in this case, now he does have a 50% stun resist, but he has some pretty nasty attacks. So it actually is worth it for us to try and stun him for a round rather than just trying to go for the smite, because the smite's not going to give us any damage. Nope, he resists. Okay. Alright, we're going to go for another attempted bleed here. Yeesh, she is just resisting everything. Right, one more smite. Can we get it? There, we got the stun. And that's all we needed. See, blanket fire, yeah, it hits everybody, but unless he crits, it's not going to hit everybody for too hard. Alright, so he recovered from his stun. Now, he's only at 15 hit points, but I think we can burn him down before he acts. So we're going to go for the raw damage now. Got that. Alright, now he's at 4 hit points. A Grape Shot Blast would hit both of them, but there's a very good chance we're not going to get the kill on the Bloodletter, so I would rather waste the extra damage and go for the kill than... Because the problem is, a guy at 1 hit point is just as dangerous as a guy at full hit points in terms of how much damage they're going to dish out to you. So when you can secure a kill, go for the kill, rather than just spreading out the damage too much. He's significantly less dangerous now that he's in front. Now we're not going to get the kill with our smite. Well, there's a small chance we'll get the kill, but probably not. So, you know what? Just to minimize the damage against us, well, we could go for the smite if that hit. Ouch. I'm not so worried about the crits for for the damage they do, because this is the last fight of this mission. We heal up when we go to town anyway, but the stress they take with them, and we don't have any way of burning that off just yet, so we don't want to accumulate too much stress in the tutorial mission. Alright, he is at effectively 3 hit points because of that 2-point bleed, so we're pretty much, unless we whiff here, we're guaranteed to kill him with this. Okay, good. A little stress healing there is always good. Again, very stingy on the treasure here. Now, speaking of treasure, this box is pretty much... sometimes you'll get, like, a skeleton key. That doesn't do anything about the trap chest. You're always just going to trigger a trap. But that being said, it's the end of the mission, so it really doesn't matter. Yeah, he got a blight, but he's not going to stick around and have that tick down, and it's not a permanent attribute. So, let's go. Yeah, that was a rather stingy tutorial. I usually pick up a few heirlooms and a couple of gemstones or whatnot. So we're going into week 1 here, a little on the poorer side, but not the end of the world. Okay, now the question becomes, do we open up our quirks here? So when you open up one of these, you have a chance for either a good quirk, a bad quirk, or a good and bad quirk. And generally, my thought process is if you have someone who has some really freaking good quirks, don't open this up. I know you might be denying them some even better quirks to stack onto it, but otherwise just don't. Meanwhile, if you have someone who's borderline, kind of 50-50 or just kind of meh, go for it. You might get lucky and get a good quirk, and if you get a bad quirk, you might be ditching them anyway. So I'm going to crack open Reynauld's. Eagle Eye. Useless for him. No. Zealous Accusation counts as a ranged attack, so that's actually really good for him. Now Dismas. Unfortunately, we can't check his quirks here. But you know what? I'm not going to do Dismas's, because I know Dismas has more good quirks than he has bad right now. And I don't want to pollute that pool with a potentially really, really awful quirk, like, syphilis or the yips or something like that. So we're just going to leave his unopened. Again, it's about risk management, Yes, random number generator is going to determine what quirks you get. By the way, if you're wondering where the narrator is, I turned him off because I don't want him talking over me when I'm trying to explain stuff. Okay. Yes, get help where you may. Okay, so at this point in time, the town is really, really run down. We don't have access to we have access to the graveyard, and we have access to the stagecoach. So no real place to go but the stagecoach. And now, speaking of random number generator, your stagecoach, your first week is always going to have a plague doctor and a vestal, and you pretty much have to hire them if you want to have a full party of 4. Now, that being said, there is some random number generator in the terms of what these two actually are. Yes, they are going to be a plague doctor and a vestal, but what skills do they have? That's going to be different every time. What quirks do they have? That's going to be different every time. And you may find yourself with some better or worse characters here based on their starting skills and quirks. Now here, Noxious Blast, Incision, I really would like Blinding Gas on my Plague Doctor, and it's unfortunate that they don't have that. Boldening Vapor is not bad, so a passable one. And the quirks aren't too bad. Wheeled Explorer, not useful to us right now. Fear of the Eldritch, not too much of a pain for us right now. So just kind of neutral, kind of a meh character. But I've seen worse. And now, let me see. Oh, so I can't de-stress you until I take you to a gambler. Will only gamble, but no one lets them gamble. So then, yeah. Without taking her to the sanitarium, she's pretty much going to be a disposable hero here. Because there's really no way to bleed stress off of her. That being said, it's still worth it to take her on the mission. Divine Comfort, and she's got Dazzling Light. This is the big one. Judgment's really good. Divine Comfort's really good. Mace Bash, not so much, but yeah. Hatred of Beast could be useful if we run into spiders. So yeah, we're not going to be keeping her around for the long term. But there's a solution for that, and probably my number one tip for players who are struggling and having to restart all the time and just feel like they can't get ahead and feel like that once they have one bad dungeon run they're done, they have to restart the whole game. There's a way to insulate against that, and that can be done in week 1. We go up here to the upgrades. We've got Stagecoach Networks and Hero Barracks. Now, we've got 9 hero slots, so we don't really need to upgrade the barracks, but Stagecoach Network. We start the game, despite our lackluster thing, we start the game with 10 busts, 10 portraits, 10 deeds, 20 crests, which is awesome. Let's use some of those. My number one tip for you new players is this. Upgrade the Stagecoach Network twice in the first week, just right off the bat. You're going to spend all your deeds and half of your crests, but do it. It is absolutely worth it. The reason being is starting next week, we are not, if we hadn't done this, we'd only get 2 more heroes available to us, but starting next week, and every week thereafter we're going to get 4 heroes available to us. Which means that even if we have a horrible, horrible dungeon, if the whole party is either dead or stark raving mad, we can get a fresh team of 4 to go out into a dungeon, pass some time while our main heroes recover, and the game doesn't have to grind to a halt. And it doesn't cost anything to hire brand new heroes off of the stagecoach. You do not have to pay gold for that. You might have to pay gold later on to tweak them and manage their skills and whatnot. But just bringing them onto your roster is free. So that is my number 1 tip for heroes, for you players out there who might be struggling in the early game. Alright, so in our next episode, we're going to go ahead and dive into our first dungeon proper. So stick around for that. If you like this video and want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. I like seeing strategy discussions on there. And you know what? If you have a better way to do things, or if you have a suggestion that runs counter to something I said in the video, please offer it in a constructive manner. I like being pointed out of mistakes that I make or things that I could be doing better. That helps not only me get better at the game, but also everyone watching and reading the comments get better. So please, don't be shy. Let me know how things are, and let me know if you have any questions. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Pinstar out.